the Travel Like a Boss podcast, the radio show all about traveling like a boss by being your own boss. Stay tuned for weekly interviews featuring guests that have built their own online businesses. If you would like to have access to our entire back catalog, visit travellikeabosspodcast.com for instant access. And here's your host, Johnny FD.
Hey guys, it's Johnny, and welcome to episode 147 of the Travel Like a Boss podcast. I'm here today with Cat Coquillette. How do you say it?
Coquillette.
Coquillette. I like that name. From catcoque.com.
Thank you.
So, you want to start off by telling everyone how we met and what you're doing here in Chiang Mai?
Sure. I just got to Chiang Mai just about a week and a half ago. I was here this time last year, just traveling through for a few days, fell in love with the city. And after I got back to the US, I learned about the digital nomad community here. And it was the perfect timing. My lease was about to expire in Kansas City. So I decided to spend a few months traveling around the US, wait till after Christmas, and then move here to Chiang Mai. I'm an illustrator and designer, by the way.
Very cool. So what was life like in, was it Kansas City, Missouri, or?
Kansas City, Missouri.
Is there more than one Kansas City?
Yeah, it's the city straddles both states. Mm-hmm. So there's the Kansas side and the Missouri side. I was actually born and raised on the Kansas side, and then my career started on the Missouri side.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it made that giant move across state borders.
It was groundbreaking.
Did it actually feel like a big move? Because when I moved from Northern California to Southern, it felt like the biggest move in the world.
Really?
And now that I'm moving countries like every other month, it seems silly in retrospect.
This move was a little bit bigger than that across state boundary move, but yeah, it was. I mean, I love that city. It's great, and I got my career started there. I was just ready to kind of pick up and start something completely different.
Okay. And was it? I mean, growing up in, I would imagine Kansas City is a small town. Did it feel like there's a lot of that entrepreneur spirit around, or I guess even recently when you've been working, were there a lot of other? I don't say digital nomads because I'm just going to assume there wasn't. But what was that like compared to, I guess being out here now?
There's a huge entrepreneurial community in Kansas City, and there's a really tight-knit design community as well. So, it was hard to leave that design community and try something totally different. But one of my big passions in life is traveling and trying new experiences. So this idea of living as a, digital nomad had so much more appeal. Instead of signing a year's lease somewhere, I could just pick up and move whenever I'm ready to try a new place. So that was kind of the main appeal for getting involved in the Chiang Mai community. And then also just meeting a lot of other like-minded people that love travel. They work for themselves. They freelance. It's just been really eye-opening and refreshing.
That's really cool. I think recently, at least online, definitely not in person, but the word digital nomad has gotten kind of a bad connotation to it.
Location independent.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? Did you experience anything like that?
It's just a term. It kind of has this, some people think it is a little pretentious, but it describes what we do.
Yeah. And it's fine. It's all about down to the person that you know, right? So when you came to Chiang Mai, did you already know people, or did you just kind of show up?
I knew no one. So I got involved on the Facebook groups, Chiang Mai Digital Nomads, the ladies group as well, and started, reading those posts, seeing what people were talking about. I found my roommate through one of those as well. So now I live in a house with 3 other roommates, which is pretty cool. And there's the other thing that's pretty cool about living in Chiang Mai now is there's so many events and get-togethers happening every single day that I feel like I'm already getting so integrated in the community here.
That's super cool. Word of advice to everyone at home: do not go on the Chiang Mai Digital Nomads Facebook group unless you have thick skin, or unless you're planning on coming anyways and you can kind of weed through it, because there is, just very recently, there's been a lot of negativity on there. But I guarantee when you come here and you meet people in person, people are very, very nice and very helpful in person.
They are nice in person.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you had a good experience and you met some cool people through that.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. And the girls group, is that Chiang Mai Digital Nomad Girls, or
it's,
what is it?
I think that's the group name. Yeah, that's great too. It's a pretty supportive community. It's a bunch of entrepreneur women or women that are, living abroad and then working freelance. And it's just cool to have this supportive group of women together that are pretty like-minded in their, entrepreneurial and travel.
I think that's really cool because a few years ago, there were very few nomad girls or like female entrepreneurs are traveling. And now it's huge. I mean, like how many people are in that group now?
Thousands, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually one of the other reasons why I came to Southeast Asia in the first place. I quit my job a little over a year and a half ago. I knew that I wanted to spend about 6 weeks traveling. So I was looking for cheap places in the world to go. So that canceled out, all of Europe. So I was between Central America and Southeast Asia. And the reason I picked Asia specifically, Thailand, Vietnam, was it's in comparison such a safe place for women to travel solo. And I haven't had any experiences where I felt out of my comfort zone or threatened. It's been wonderful.
Yeah, Chiang Mai is definitely a very safe place to be, especially for like a mid-sized city. Like even as a guy, like just walking around, I never worry about getting pickpocketed or being in a bad situation.
Sure.
Unfortunately, everywhere in the world, there's going to be bad people. So you always have to kind of keep your eye out. I would say in Chiang Mai, you can almost like before midnight, you can almost just walk around with money in your hand and like nobody's going to do anything. My dad says in high school, Catherine, what things happen after midnight? And the response is, bad things happen after midnight, Dad. It's good that you have that ingrained.
I know. So
yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying like, if you go out past midnight, people do like, chances are everything's fine. But if it's like 3 or 4 a.m. and you're passed out drunk and you have your money in your hand, you get into some strangers, tuk-tuk or taxi and go, like bad things happen anywhere in the world. So I do encourage everyone to have a little bit of, I don't know, I guess, self-awareness.
Sure.
Regardless of where you go in the world. But Chiang Mai is very, very safe. So I am happy that that's here.
Definitely.
I just checked the group, Chiang Mai Nomad Girls, and it has almost 2,000 members now.
Woo-woo.
And this year, for the first year ever, the Nomad Summit has more female speakers than male.
That's awesome.
And that wasn't by like on purpose at all. I honestly didn't even count like, how many guys and how many girls we have. I actually remember like when I first sent out the application kind of request saying like who wants to speak this year, I thought, it'd be great, like if we had at least one female speaker. Like I actually remember thinking that specifically.
And how many do we have?
I think we have 5 out of the 8 are female.
That's great.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for doing your part in the nomad world.
I just bought my ticket a few days ago. Everybody buy tickets.
Nomadsummit.com, guys. If you guys are in Chiang Mai, but it's a good reason to come out here. So what are your plans? Like how much longer are you planning on staying in Chiang Mai, and where do you want to go after?
I'm not quite sure. I'm just kind of playing it by ear. I'll be here for my lease is about a month. So definitely here for a month. I might head down to Bali during burning season. Just to try something new for a little bit, maybe come back, maybe try something else. It's just kind of this whole, leaving the US and trying something new. It's just whenever I'm ready to go home, I guess I'll go home, which the people I've talked to about this have said, oh, you'll never go home. So we'll see.
I originally came for 3 weeks and it's been years and years. So I think I'm sure there's some people that just go home forever, but most people, they'll go home for a few months and they'll be like, you know what? I miss Chiang Mai, or I miss traveling, or I miss the freedom. So
sure.
people always come back.
It's great to have that flexibility as well.
Yeah, 100%. I definitely agree. So people who are wondering what burning season is, it is the rice field burning season. Happens approximately end of February until middle of April. So normally ends a few days before the Songkran holiday, which is April 13th. So most people come back around April 10th, and people start leaving kind of mid to end of February. So February 15th, the 28th, some people start leaving. There's always going to be people in Chiang Mai still. I don't recommend anyone stay for the month of March, but anytime before that, it's usually okay still.
Yeah. That's good advice.
Yeah, thank you. So what are you actually doing to support yourself online?
I am an illustrator, primarily. I went to school for illustration and both graphic design, and I started my career as a graphic designer at a branding firm. Loved my job, was there about 4 years. But I started kind of dabbling in this world of commercial illustration and licensing. So I realized kind of getting into that was a way that I could support myself through licensing my artwork. I'm a watercolor painter, and then I also do digital illustrations. So I work with various print-on-demand companies, and print-on-demand is a site that you'll go to. An example is called Society 6, and an artist will upload a design or a painting, what have you, And it can be printed on, phone cases, t-shirts, even art prints for your walls, tapestries, rugs, shower curtains, like literally anything. So what happens is they have their own audience for these shops, these big print-on-demand shops. So people will go and want a new phone case, buy that, and then I get a kickback of royalties based on that. But me personally, I don't have to do anything except create the content and set prices. So they handle all fulfillment, customer support, distribution. It's all done by them, which is why I can, take off for 3 weeks and hike in the jungle and then come back and things are still the same.
That is super cool.
I feel incredibly lucky.
I don't think it's luck. I think you made your own fortune.
It was good timing as well.
I think we are lucky that we grew up in this era where we have the internet, we have, even laptops, we have these tools. So I think that we're definitely lucky. I think, the fact that you've actually did the work to figure it out, I think that's, that should be applauded.
I think it was a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, I can imagine. And that's why I'm so happy to have people like you on the podcast to share these different ways to make money online, because I have the way I did it, but that's not going to apply to everyone. There's going to be a lot of people that are like, I don't give a crap about, e-commerce. I'm an artist. I want to design, but I want to be able to travel. I want to be location dependent. I want to be free. And, by you sharing how you're doing it, that's going to inspire other people. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. The more artists and designers that get involved in this industry, the better it is for everyone. There's not this finite pie and everybody gets a little chunk of it. The more people that get involved, the bigger the pie gets.
So what do you mean? I love that mentality. I love the balance mentality. Can you kind of go into more about why the pie gets bigger?
Sure. The more artists, designers get involved, the more they talk about it and they share it with their own individual audiences, social media, what have you. They drive more traffic to these individual sites like Society6, Redbubble, Casetify. These are all just examples. And so the bigger that these sites get, the better it is for everyone. So it is tough to make a name for yourself through print-on-demand sites just because there's so many artists participating. But, it's one of those things where if you have consistent, great content and you're able to drive traffic, at least initially, it will pay off for you.
That's cool. So I just logged into society6.com to see what it is. And it looks pretty cool. It's basically like a non-crappy version of all the print-on-demand sites I've seen in the past. Because I think I've seen, there's always been like the others. I don't know the names anymore, but the ones where you can upload a photo onto a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And it always looks terrible.
Yeah.
Because there's always some crappy image that,
they do a really good job. They're based out of LA. They've got a great photography team. They go out and, shoot their fashion on the street. That's all, artist created, and they do a great job supporting their artist community as well. So, having, I don't know, 500,000 social media followers. So every time they post, a piece of artwork that one of their artists on their site put together, they'll tag back to the artist and your followers will grow. So it's this really beneficial relationship.
I think that's cool. And I think it's one of those things where it really does illustrate that you have to have good quality work. I think the medium is one thing, and I'm glad that there's mediums like this. But when it comes down to it, the medium only matters so much if the art sucks. And, art is subjective, right?
Yeah.
So it could suck to me, but it could be good to someone else. But it's one of those things where the product has to look good. There has to be people actually want the product.
Right.
And that's how you grow. Yeah.
And any artist can submit any sort of work as long as it's not copyright infringement to these sites. But the pieces that they'll share and really heavily promote are the great pieces.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. So I guess, if you're an artist, there's almost no reason not to try this, right? Because
you can make a living. There's one thing I would advise for any print-on-demand or licensing relationship you get into as an artist or a designer is just to read that contract really carefully. I make sure I get into only non-exclusive agreements, and that way I can upload the same piece through a variety of different sites and sell it through different licensors, and I maintain the copyright to my piece at all times.
That's great advice. I'm almost assuming that the ones that you mentioned,
they're good.
They're good, yeah. Because not only have you gone through it yourself, but they probably wouldn't exist if they had that kind of, scarcity mentality. They're like, you go work through us and nobody else.
And, I get approached by those all the time. And so whenever a new company will send me an email to see if I want to start selling my work through them, my first question is always, will you offer a non-exclusive agreement? And if not, I can't work with you right now. I'm sorry.
That's very smart. For the people that aren't artists, if you guys have let's say a course, by the way, like an online course, which I think you have some, so we can talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
There are a lot of other places you can sell your course to that's non-exclusive. So, for example, if you're selling your course on Udemy, you can also upload it to like Skillshare or one of these other sites, and you can sell it in multiple places. So that's actually a great tip for the non-artists out there.
Right, especially since each one of those sites has their own individual audience, so why not cross-pollinate that a little bit? Yeah,
exactly. So you have some courses on Skillshare as well?
Yeah, I have one course. It's not quite live yet. I think it'll be up by the end of the month. It's a course that I filmed with Skillshare about how to make passive income as an artist and how you can, for the first time ever, artists can like make a living for themselves and not be starving artists. Like you can do what I'm doing. You can travel around as long as you have, pieces that you're putting out there and you're being successful with it. So yeah, my course through Skillshare is all about different tips about how to kind of get into this world of print on demand is primarily, and then licensing a little bit as well. I mean, they're kind of one and the same, but print on demand sites are the widely known name for those. But yeah, so I talk about just various tips. I go into like uploading, how I create my work, how I edit it to get online, things that I know that are going to sell well, maybe as a phone case or as an art print. So there's all these kind of nifty little tips that I picked up over the past few years of doing this. So now when I paint something, I have this focus of what am I painting this for? Is this something that people are actually going to want to purchase? Because that's my livelihood now.
That's really smart. Do you mind kind of sharing like how long it took you to get started? Like, let's say making your first sale, and then how long did it take for you to get like a sustainable income where you can just live off of that?
Sure. My first month on Society 6, I made $8, and I was pretty jazzed about that because I was like, oh my God, people actually want to buy my stuff. This is crazy. And so fast forward about a year in, I was able to support myself entirely through just that one website. And then within that year, I started looking into more and more print on demands and getting involved in those as well. So now it's my income is based off of, a variety of different print on demand sites and licensors. So, about a year before I was able to completely support myself. And that's about the time when I left my job.
That's really cool. That's smart that you were doing this on the side to get some passive income.
Right.
Because you get, a couple $100 here and there. Mm-hmm. While you're living in the US, it's not enough to support you, but it's, nice extra money that you can put into a travel fund or whatever you want.
And honestly, like the reason I started doing this on the side was I just wanted to have some extra money to go out with friends on the weekends. So, having, month 2, I had $100 come in. I was like, oh my God, I can go out and have like a really nice dinner somewhere. It was kind of unreal when it got to the point where I was like, holy crap, this paid my rent for this month. That's when it really started clicking that this could be a viable way to make a living.
So what do you think were the reasons why you went from making, a couple $100 a month to, I assume, over 1,000?
Yes.
Okay.
Exposure. The quantity of the work that I was putting out there as well. I generally do about one painting a night. And so just being able to constantly be uploading new work every day really helped. And then I have my Instagram following helped as well because I was able to drive people from Instagram because I was painting and had this this passion for painting long before I started doing these print on demand sites. So already having that audience built up through Instagram helped drive traffic to those shops. And then, when items start selling well from the traffic that I've driven there, the site itself will start to promote it as well.
And that's the exact same thing with pretty much every single platform out there. So these are great tips for people that aren't artists and they're like, why am I listening to this? Because I guarantee if you follow these same principles, you'll be successful in pretty much whatever you do. So even for like Udemy, what I do for my courses is I drive a bunch of traffic there for the first couple of months, either through my blog or my Instagram or my Twitter or whatever it is, my email list. And when Udemy starts seeing that outside traffic is buying that course, they start promoting it. And that starts kind of just the whole ball rolling.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great because, it's their incentive to help you out as well. Because if it's a course that's going well, they want to promote that as well.
Yeah. And you've proven to them that people want to buy it. So at pretty much zero risk for them, they know if they send traffic there, not only will people actually buy it, but then people will be happy with it.
Exactly. And that's kind of the beauty of print on demand. It's literally print on demand. So they don't create a phone case until someone purchases it. So that it's such zero risk for them to, I mean, they handle, returns come in every now and then, and they have to, pay to host the website. But for the most part, it's a really, really risk-free, beneficial relationship. And, even if you start selling your work through one of these sites and it doesn't go well, then you've just, wasted some time, but you have no financial risk in that.
Yeah. And you're just kind of spending some time that you're like, okay, took a gamble. Looks like this new up and coming site doesn't have enough audience, or maybe my art doesn't resonate on this platform.
And that's just life.
Yeah, that's true, right?
Yeah.
I like that. So there was an episode of my favorite TV show called The Profit. Have you ever heard of it?
No, I haven't.
It is amazing. It's kind of like Shark Tank, but there's one entrepreneur. His name is Marcus Leomas, and he's the CEO of Camping World, which is the big camping supply store in the US. And what he does is he goes and finds businesses that are, failing basically. And he will go and buy like 50% of it and be 100% in charge and just kind of revamp it. And one of the episodes, I think he took over I think they were sandals, and a brand. And what they had was like very generic prints, just like, the designs were just blue or just green or whatever it was. And it had a really cool cause. It was something like there's 8 different charities, and depending on which one you bought, it was the money, like some of the money would go to that charity.
Oh, that's really cool.
So you can get the red one to support, AIDS or cancer or whatever it was. You can get the purple one to support this cause, whatever it was.
Sure.
And what he did was he wanted kind of more unique designs, so people would, it wasn't sandals, they were watches.
Oh, cool.
And he wanted to have cooler designs than just like this plain color. So he went on one of these outsourced kind of designed websites, and I don't remember the name of it. So hopefully,
was it 99 Designs?
It definitely wasn't 99 Designs. It was another one that has a passive income model built in. Okay. Which I think is really cool. And if you haven't heard of this, I think this is something you'd be good at. It's basically, instead of getting, let's say, $99 or even $300 for your design, you license that pattern or that design to that company.
Man, the money is in licensing.
And you get a pretty big royalty. I was surprised when they said how much they got for it. And I think it was something like $2 per watch. And
it really adds up.
It adds up like crazy.
Yeah, I rarely do flat fees. I prefer licensing with royalties 100% of the time. It's 99% of the time. I mean, every once in a while. But it just makes way more sense. And especially if you get hooked up with a company like that that's going to be incredibly successful, like you've hit the jackpot.
Yeah, because if they are, I actually didn't think it made sense at first, because I'm like, why wouldn't you just pay a designer, let's say it's even $1,000, for this print or this pattern, this one-time fee, and then you just have it, for the rest of your life or whatever it is, instead of paying a $2 royalty for each item. But I think from their point of view, first off, they had 8 items. It was a new company. They didn't have any capital. And then maybe they want to change it like after season or whatever it was. There's
always a risk involved if you don't take that flat fee right off the bat. And, it sounds really, tempting, like $2,000 I could have right now, or, $100 a month maybe until it becomes less popular. Like, what's the better option? So it is a case by case basis, but for the my general rule of thumb, what I've learned is royalties are always better.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, because it is that passive income aspect where, in general, if something's selling well, people don't really want to change it. They might end up adding like another line or another something else. Yeah. But they'll always keep the ones that are working.
It's crazy. My bestseller when I, got him started with this is still my bestseller now. And it's been, 3 years in. And it's crazy. I kind of thought that would hit its apex at some point and then start coming back down. But that's true with a lot of my work. So it's like the longer something's out there, the more popular it is. I'm still waiting for, some of these trends to die down, but that it kind of, they keep going for a substantial amount of time.
Yeah. So if you were to just take a break, like how much, like how many weeks do you think you can go and just without uploading any more designs before it would just dry up and you'd have to go back and just work again?
Sanity wise or financially?
Oh, I guess both. I never thought of that.
Financially, I mean, as long as these relationships are still going strong, I have to continue creating new work because new things become popular and I want to, fulfill that demand. But, judging by the last 2 years, I guess I wouldn't have to do anything. It just, those paychecks just keep coming in because of the work that I've already put out there. And now it's new work that I put out there. It just increases. So, I mean, I guess things would be pretty stagnant, but that's a stagnant in a good way that would still support me.
That's amazing. That really is. And like how many artists out there, and I hope artists will listen to this episode and not just entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs, I think, have a different mindset. I think there's a lot of artists that don't realize that this is possible.
But, that comes to the caveat. It's, the risk with the print on demand side is you do have no control. Like one of these sites, Society 6, I mean, it could shut down tomorrow and they have, no responsibility to tell me anything. They could drop me as an artist for whatever reason. So, you do have that lack of control. It's not income that I'm completely in charge of. I'm relying on these other companies to continue selling my work and staying open. So
yeah, I can definitely see that. But I also think that first off, like as long as they're profitable, there's no reason for them to drop you or to shut down. And because you have a non-exclusive agreement, you can always just move that somewhere else.
Exactly.
So knowing that you have, let's say, 20 items that sell well every month, you can always actually just start printing those yourself. I mean,
and I do. Yeah, I have an online shop as well, which is being run by my awesome sister-in-law back in Kansas City. So she has my printer and all my Etsy access. So she's been fulfilling orders from that.
See,
so
you are a true to life entrepreneur. That's really cool. Well, how did you even kind of start thinking of this? Because I would imagine most artists are, they're thinking about they're just like the creative aspects. They're not really thinking about the business aspects. How did this all kind of turn on to you?
I'm really 50-50 on that. The entrepreneurial side and the business aspects are so fun to, it's, thinking of new strategies. How am I going to market myself better? Like, I love that aspect. And I also love the creative aspect of just purely sitting down, painting and creating new work. So having that love of both, I think, has also helped me get to where I am now. You definitely, I mean, if you're just an artist and you aren't interested in the whole business side of it, which a lot of people aren't, and that's totally cool, that's still okay. It just, you'll be way more successful if you have an interest in, negotiating deals, asking for higher royalty rates. What I've learned through the past few years of doing this is it's always better to ask for something and just see if they say yes or no. So they might say like, oh, okay, we offer a 10% royalty rate, and I'll be like, oh, you know what? I'm only really comfortable with 25. Then we meet in the middle somewhere and it works out. So it's better to say something and ask than just stay silent about it.
That is very smart. I like that.
Yeah.
Good advice. So if somebody is like brand new, what would your advice for them to get started would be?
Brand new as an illustrator or designer, or just
I guess we'd be both, right? So like, let's say you have interest in art, you're taking like you're deciding like, this is beautiful, this is something I want to do. Uh-huh. Is there like a path? Would it be going to school for it? Or would it be like taking an online course? Well, let's talk about that aspect first.
Okay, I went to school for illustration, and my other major was graphic design as well, so that completely helped. But my illustration program in school wasn't focused on licensing and royalties and print, like this world of print on demand. That's something I just kind of learned as I got into it. I follow a lot of designers and illustrators. I subscribe to fashion blogs. Like, I see new trends that are happening in the market, and I see what other people like me are doing. So that's helped a lot. Just being aware of what's going on in my market.
Okay, I like that. And then if someone already is an artist, they already have some work published, or at least on their blog or on their Instagram or something, and they haven't yet made a dime from it, what would the first step be that you would advise?
Maybe consider why you haven't made any money from it. Are you marketing or getting involved in the wrong avenues? Like you said, some people, their aesthetic might work really well with a website like Society 6, but then others might have another, designed by humans. That audience might be more for them. So maybe kind of doing some research, figuring out who your audience is and where you need to be, selling your work. And I guess that's the main thing. There's someone out there that's going to, there's an audience for everyone. So just kind of finding where that is.
I like it. So I'm really happy that we now have 2 artists on the show. The first interview we did was with Lauren Hom from episode 142, and she's a typographer or
a lettering artist. Yeah, she's amazing.
So I told you said that.
Lauren, I've never met you, but I love your work.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm sure you two would be really good friends because you guys have lived that exact same like lifestyle. You guys are both traveling. You guys are both nomads. I think she's a little bit more based in the US, where she can travel full time if she wants, but she actually really just likes being in New York. So,
right.
But it is cool that she spent, half a year on that remote year trip and just traveling around doing exactly what she's doing.
That can be so inspiring, just traveling around and seeing new things. I mean, I photograph everything I see when I'm traveling and then I paint it later. So it's literally like traveling is eating in my income.
Yeah. And I bet I'm going to send your episode to her and tell her that she should put her stuff on Society 6 as well.
Okay,
because
cool.
I can see like her making a whole nother stream of income just by listing her stuff there.
Definitely.
That's awesome. I like it. So besides Society 6, what were the other ones that you would recommend or that you use?
Another one I use is called Redbubble, R-E-D Bubble. And they're based out of Australia, I think. And it's funny, actually, my number one like item that sells the best that from income on that website for me is stickers.
Okay.
Which is crazy. I make, I don't know, 50 cents per every sticker sold, but they sell in just such massive quantities that it's not like, oh, art prints are selling really well where I get a much higher rate. I can make between $10 and $30 on every art print, but it's just these massive amounts of stickers that are going out there, which is pretty cool.
Is it like a bunch of different people buying a bunch of different stickers, or is it like...
Yeah, it's just they have a huge audience, so it's, different people buying a bunch of stickers.
Okay. Because I wonder if like one person will be like, oh, I want like 30 of these stickers.
I don't know, maybe.
I do like it.
Yeah.
So...
Whereas like Society 6, I sell primarily art prints and phone cases, which have a higher royalty rate on them, but the quantity moves faster on smaller items, so it's this balancing game.
That actually makes sense where like different platforms will kind of, appeal to different audiences.
Right.
So some people might like Society 6 sounds like, maybe, I don't know if it's because they promote their phone cases more or they have a better selection on there and that's just what people kind of know them as.
I think it's both. They kind of got started, like with phone, other items as well, but phone cases were their big hit and everybody went to that website for phone cases. And now they've opened up and have all these other products. But yeah, that's kind of their origin story and that is what they're known as.
Okay. I like it. So what is next for you? Like, what are your plans?
Oh man. I'm still trying to figure that out. One of the main reasons why I wanted to come to Chiang Mai and kind of take a break from the US was I was kind of spending 95% of my time just on the business end, working on reviewing contracts, responding to emails, getting new print-on-demand shops opened up, new licensing arrangements. And I just got to a point where I was getting really burnt out with that, and I hadn't painted anything in like a month and a half. So I kind of had this moment where I realized I needed to kind of reevaluate, get my balance back together with the creative side and the business side. So right now I'm focusing on just creating a bunch of new work. So I've been, there's a art shop just down the road from where I live now. I've already gone there twice and I've been here for like a week. But yeah, so right now my focus is creating new work and just getting creatively inspired while I'm in this beautiful place.
I like it. Have you seen that giant art shop like just around the corner on Hoi Ka Road
That's
here?
That's the one. I love 2
it as well.
stories, you guys. It's amazing.
Yeah. So how do the prices actually compared to prices back in the US?
Pretty cheap. Certain items, it's pretty similar. Like the really nice paints, Winsor & Newtons, those are still expensive. But I brought my own, so I didn't have to buy any more of those. But like paper supplies, it's about a third of the price. So I'm really digging that.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
And so as you're traveling around, are you traveling light or like are you carrying a ton of art supplies? Like, how does that work?
I came here traveling light. I just brought my paint with me. And I figured, everything else I can buy in Chiang Mai. And I traveled pretty light. I just have a backpack. So that's kind of the problem with settling down here for a month is I know I'm going to accumulate all this stuff that I can't carry it with me. So I'll probably have to ship some stuff home, but my plan is to do a bunch of paintings, find some place to scan them in Chiang Mai, and then mail them back home.
Okay. So I guess the way it would work is all you need is like your painting supplies, a big table, some paper, and then like what type of places will scan it in?
That's a good question. If anybody has any advice, let me know. I haven't found that out. I just I need to find someone with a scanner where I can scan it, 1400 DPI. So not your everyday Kinkos.
Okay. I'm sure it exists somewhere. Chiang Mai has a pretty thriving art scene.
Yeah.
I know Lauren, she said that she travels with like a portable scanner. But
okay.
I think your pieces are like physically bigger. So
yeah, they're pretty big. If I did that, I already have to scan it in multiple scans and then piece it together in Photoshop.
Yeah.
So
have you seen like the scanner apps like on your phone, the PDF scanner apps?
No.
They're actually pretty cool. Like
Yeah?
I don't know how well that'll work for art, but for like documents,
Yeah,
what
I'll
it
have to check it
does
out.
is like instead of having the like it look clearly like a picture, and where like everything's kind of crooked, you scan it and then it figures out the borders and then it actually like flattens it for you.
Oh, cool.
So just like technology is becoming amazing.
That's awesome. That'd be good just for, signing contracts. So
Yeah, there you go.
Cool.
I like it. So very cool. What travel plans were you going after Chiang Mai?
I'm going to probably head down to Bali, but I haven't figured anything out about where I'm staying or what I'm doing while I'm there. I mean, I guess I'm painting while I'm there, but I know literally nothing else about it. I just know it has a really thriving entrepreneur community, so I want to get involved in that.
Yeah, especially like I don't know like what type of entrepreneur community there. I know it's a little bit different. I know it's more like the creative type. I haven't actually been there since I became a nomad. I went there maybe like 5 years ago when I was just traveling, and it was fun. Like I enjoyed it. And the internet sucked back then. I heard it still sucks at most
I hear
places.
it's not great.
Yeah, but the good news is there are now a bunch of co-working spaces, and it's their job to have good internet.
Right.
So as long as you join a co-working space, like you're guaranteed decent internet.
That's good advice.
But if you're just working out of your hotel, it might suck.
Okay, that's definitely something to keep in mind.
Yeah. So I don't think I actually mentioned to anyone yet, but I think I'm going to Bali as well.
Let's meet up.
Let's do it. So I think I'll be there end of February, like probably like March 1st.
Oh, cool.
I'll head down probably for a month with my buddy Chris. And it was completely his idea. I actually wanted to go spend like a month skiing.
Can't do that in Bali.
I can't do that in Bali. And he kind of convinced me. He's like, Johnny, I don't think you're going to like skiing. Because in my mind, we're going to like ski all day. And then we're going to sit by a fire at night and just like tell stories. And he kind of gave me the reality check. He's like, you're going to be so exhausted that you're not going to be able to ski every day. There's like nobody that can ski 7 days a week.
It's true. I was just skiing out in Colorado a couple months right before Christmas, and I was skiing with my boyfriend and one of my best friends, and she was snowboarding, and she fell in front of me, and it was just this really comedic fall, and I started laughing, and then I found out she broke 2 ribs, and I was like, oh God, I'm the worst friend ever. She's actually coming out to Chiang Mai in a few weeks to do, she wants to do climbing, but we'll see how her ribs are feeling.
Oh, cool. Well, we can poke fun at her. So he was like, yeah, Johnny, you hate the cold, so you might not like it.
Yeah.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to spend a month in Bali, and then we might try to like squeeze in some last minute skiing on our way back to Europe when like kind of right before spring.
Where would you go?
So at first I wanted to go to Poland, but I don't know. I kind of heard like I love Poland as a country, but I've heard the skiing there isn't very good, and it's actually there's no real reason to go there. So I was thinking about going to Bagso in Bulgaria, which is next to Sofia, and the benefits of that is first they have a co-working space now called Co-working Bagso.
Oh, awesome!
And I think it's the first co-working ski resort kind of place. So it's not completely connected, but it's like within 10 minutes or something.
Yeah.
So it's the first kind of like community of skiers and nomads, which I think is cool. I want to support that. And also, Bulgaria is not part of the Schengen area. So if you want to stay in Europe for more than 3 months, the easiest way is to spend some time outside of that Schengen area, and then you can have a full 3 months in Western Europe.
That sounds like a really cool plan.
So we'll see. Maybe we'll meet in Bali after this, and we can meet over in the ski slopes. Yeah. This is why I like this community so much. Where in the world can you meet someone? Because me and Kat just met a couple of days ago at a friend's house, and we were just chatting, and she's like, and I was like, oh, what do you do online? She told me that she makes passive income through art, which I thought was cool. I wanted to share with you guys. And then now we're hanging out in Chiang Mai, and there's a very good chance we're going to be hanging out in Bali, and then maybe even on the ski slopes.
That's the coolest part about this community. It's just, there's just so many opportunities like this. I mean, that sounds kind of cheesy, but people are just up for anything. It's great.
I think it's because like nobody has any responsibilities. You know, we all work. So like, I don't want people thinking like you're going to come here and just hang out all day, because people work. But we have the freedom to not work if something comes up.
Right.
You know, and I think because most people, I know there are people that, you know, still have like remote jobs where they have to be there certain hours. But I would say most people I know, they try to schedule it so they can work the hours they want. So whether it's, you know, like 10 a.m. Thailand time to 7 p.m. or whatever it is, or take a break for a few days and then work on a weekend, they have that freedom.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite things about this, like being self-employed. Like, you know, for example, today I woke up super early, went to a coffee shop, cranked out on all my emails, got the boring stuff out of the way, and then took a break for a few hours, biked around, saw some cool stuff, got a smoothie, just, you know, and then I'll probably work until, I don't know, 10 tonight. I mean, my most creative time is in the late evening. So just being able to set my own schedule has been amazing.
I like that. So what is your actual daily routine like? What time do you normally wake up? Do you have like a morning ritual?
I have to have coffee first thing in the morning. I like to get all the stuff that I don't like doing out of the way so that I can have fun the rest of the day, basically, and have fun, you know, by painting. So I get all the, you know, emails, contracts, uploading to sites, just that mundane kind of stuff out of the way first thing, with a nice cup of coffee. And then I start thinking about what I want to paint. Right now it's been a lot of like tropical florals. I was hiking up north a few weeks ago and took, you know, 1 million photos of orchids and plants, ferns, things like that. So I'm kind of working through all of those and painting them. I love reading, so whenever I'm kind of sick of staring at a computer screen or working on a painting, I'll, you know, take a break, read my book, go for a bike ride, things like that.
What book are you currently reading?
I just finished one, and it's called The Nix, and I forgot the author. Hang on, it's on my phone. I can pull it up. It's really good. I've been doing a lot of audiobooks too because of flying, so it's a good one. Oh, and then I also. Do you guys remember reading The Things They Carried back in like high school or middle school if you're an American? I read that when I was in Vietnam a few weeks ago, and it was interesting to hear the perspective of the Vietnam War while I was there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. How does that differ from what your life was like when you were back in the US?
It's very different. When I had my full-time job, I would, you know, work 9 hours a day, come home, and then kind of recharge by painting. So as I started becoming more successful through, you know, making a side income through painting, I realized I was working way too much, like 60 hours a week. Just, you know, doing 40-hour full-time job and then all this extra time trying to get my, you know, paintings and that passive income off the ground. So in the last few months, I mean, my lease expired in August back in Kansas City. So since August, I've been traveling around the U.S. and staying, you know, shared rooms or shared houses, Airbnbs, and just trying different cities out and seeing what I liked for some place where I'd actually want to live in the U.S. But this has been so different from that. I mean, I'm doing the same thing. I came to a new city, Chiang Mai, to do art and painting and run my business, but it's so different here because there's this really great community of other, you know, location independent entrepreneurs, where in the you know, going from Airbnb in Colorado and, you know, California, it was kind of lonely. I wasn't meeting a lot of people. I was just going to coffee shops, putting on my headphones, working, and then grabbing dinner somewhere and going home. So here it's been great to meet so many people that are in, you know, it's not similar industries, but it's a similar mindset.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. What was your last full-time job?
I worked as a graphic designer at a branding firm in Kansas City. I loved my job. It was really hard to, I mean, it was time to go, but it was really hard because I loved the people I worked with. I loved the work I got to do, but ultimately it just made more sense for me to go off on my own. And then also having unlimited vacation days is the best part of
I can definitely see that. So like, have you like sacrificed, I guess, some of your annual income? Like, are you, like, I guess the question is, with your online income, have you kind of outpaced what you were getting at that full-time job yet?
I have.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Thanks.
So I think that's the dream, right?
It's the dream. It feels pretty cool.
Because I think for most people, they're probably assuming, and I don't know how comfortable you are just saying how much money you're making a month now.
not super comfortable.
Okay, but it's all right. But I think like most people, when they first like listen to this podcast, they might be like, okay, you know what? It's cool that she's probably making enough to like scrape by in Thailand, which I think to a lot of people would be the dream anyways. You have free time, you can do whatever you want to do, and having those unlimited vacation days, is worth it already. And they're like, you know what? I'm okay with taking a big pay cut from my 9-to-5 salary.
And that's awesome. More power to those people.
And I think that actually is a great first step anyways, right? That's almost kind of like almost required to as a first step. And then you're like, okay, now I have free time. I have these, online income sources. Now let's scale it up. And the goal and the ultimate dream is to have both, to be able to, to make as much as you were making at your full-time job before or more, but while still having the benefits of this location-independent lifestyle. Yeah,
it's the best of both worlds right now. I'm doing well financially and I'm able to support myself while also having this lifestyle where I can pick up and travel and go wherever I want. So back to just feeling incredibly, incredibly lucky.
I love it. Any advice or any kind of like lessons learned that you want to just put out there?
Oh, that's a good one. Let me think. Calculated risks is a big one. Everyone thinks that being an entrepreneur means you take all these big risks all the time to get, the bigger the risk, the better the rewards, which it's true to an extent, but, there's no reason to quit your full-time job or just give everything up on a whim. Like you can do these little tests and make sure that you're going to, be able to make a viable living for yourself. So, now more than ever, that's definitely but that would be my best advice is just take it slowly, see what works and what doesn't work, and then make an educated guess based off of all the information you can get first.
I love it. If you guys want to know more about Cat and kind of what she does, she has an excellent article that I've been skimming through called How I Earn Passive Income as an Artist. And it is a how-to guide for artists looking to boost their passive income. And it's very long and very well written.
Thank you. It's basically the notes for the video I did with Skillshare. So, I made an outline for that. And then I was like, you know what? Just in case I come across as a total idiot in that tutorial, because it's being edited right now and I haven't even seen it. I was like, I'll just have a backup blog post so you can read it or wait until the tutorial comes out and watch it. So, and it's on my website, www.catcoq, which is catcoq.com.
Yep. And we'll have a link to that in the show notes. This is episode, 147. You can go to travellikeabosspodcast.com/ I don't know, just look for episode 147 and we'll have a link to all of Cat's stuff, to her Instagram, which is what?
CATCOQ.
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
All right.
No one can spell Coquillette, so it's just...
and turns out Johnny can't pronounce it. So, even though we had rehearsed it beforehand, I think a lot of my guests are probably like, are you just like pulling people off the street that you've never spoken to before?
No,
like, what's your name?
It's a really challenging name.
Yeah, but great name, great site, great life. Like it really is. And like, I really am glad that you came and just you shared all this. And even just this post, I really think that if anyone's an artist, just reading this blog post, I think it'll give everyone the tools that they need.
Well, great. Yeah, I hope I can inspire other artists to, fulfill their dreams as well.
I love it. So hopefully we'll meet some of you guys out here in Chiang Mai. Kat, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you guys for taking the time to leave all these amazing 5-star reviews of the podcast. I just realized that I've been reading the same one a couple of weeks in a row. So thank you, Molly Fiona, for that. But let's read some new ones that came out just a few days ago. We have one by Patrick Olvera. Learn how to make an online business for real. 5 stars. I've been listening to Johnny's podcast for a few months before I felt like I would be stuck being an employee forever. Now I'm backpacking in Australia and slowly growing an eBay business. In a few months, I will be in Thailand with some money so I can work on creating an online income full time. Thank you so much, Johnny. You changed my life. Thank you, Patrick. And thank you for everyone who has left all these great reviews. And thank you, Kat.
Thank you.
So I'll see all you guys next week. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. If you want to hear more, including the bonus, How to Choose the Perfect Niche episode, join our mailing list at travellikeabosspodcast.com. See you next week, and remember, if you want to travel like a boss, you need to be your own boss. So start your online business today and start living the lifestyle you've always dreamed of.